She said at some point I came up to her pretty young and I was like, I'm reading Clan of the Cave Bear. And she was sitting here like, she said her mental thought was like, oh my God, my daughter's going to read Mammoth Sex. And she was like, well.
Therapy Hour. All right, so welcome to TBD Sailor Moon podcast name.
Can we actually call the podcast that? Is that allowed?
We might be able to. We could dub in the real name later.
No, I want to be TBD Sailor Moon podcast. It has a ring. It feels like my ADHD feels, which is good. Confusing for other people.
But makes sense to us.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a podcast about Sailor Moon. We are exploring the OG original Sailor Moon dub versus the original sub made in, I think it was like the 90s. I should actually look up that trivia.
Are we watching the original sub?
Huh?
Are we watching the original sub?
Yeah, it feels pretty old. I don't
right.
think they would have redone the sub, would they?
We often share things with no knowledge of what we're talking about.
So feel free to fact check us. Anyway, we are watching everything from the beginning and reliving our childhood nostalgia because we, growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, only had access to the original awful dub.
Absolutely. And it's been a nostalgia trip coming back to it. I came back to it for the first time this episode, and it was amazing. It was an experience. And
yes.
and I think we're taking turns on who watches the sub and who watches the dub.
Exactly. So let's introduce ourselves. My name is Audrey. She, her, cis, whatever. I don't know.
And I am Alison, she, her. Pronouns are fine.
Yeah. And so today I watched the sub.
And I watched the dub and got about halfway through and was like, this doesn't feel like it has the same theme as the episode title Audrey was watching. And so I Googled, because I was watching an episode about a radio show, and that is apparently episode 3 of the sub. Episode 2 of the sub is about something, but I don't know because they didn't translate it. So I am very excited today to find out what happened in episode 2 and why it was deemed inappropriate for children in America.
Oh, so many reasons.
Here's the only thing I can say is that last episode when I watched the sub, at the end of the episode when they do that little like next time, I didn't watch that part because I didn't want to spoil myself, but the beginning of it came on and all I saw was an upskirt shot. So I feel like I have a guess.
Yeah. That is one of the reasons.
Was the whole episode just upskirts?
You know, one thing I actually did notice, and I want to see if it was in the dub later when we get to it. I mean, maybe this is just like a Japanese thing with anime, but there's like a lot of upskirt. Like,
it seems like they're a lot into like panties in a way that's sort of titillating, but maybe considered sort of harmlessly cute. I don't know. Do you remember those copper tone sunscreen bottles that were like the little girl with the dog pulling her panties off or her swimsuit off, and it was like cute? I feel like there's that vibe sometimes. But then you're like, but is it cute?
Is it cute or is it creepy? I feel like
a new podcast section.
Cute or creepy? Yes, that's our new segment. Cute or creepy? All right, then yes, we'll have to get to that when we get to the radio show episode. Cute or creepy? Writing that down. All right, so I'm gonna try to keep this brief so that we can then delve into the details of why we think it probably wasn't dubbed.
So, what was the title of the second episode?
Oh shit, I don't remember.
That's all right. Pause to look things up.
It was something like punishment.
That sounds so ominous. Yeah, I remember like the punishment room, but I don't think that's right because I think that's from 50 Shades of Grey.
House of Yeah, Sailor Moon crossed with Twilight.
Yeah, well, wasn't 50 Shades of Grey it was a vampire fan fiction, and so we could do a Sailor Moon 50. I mean, people have written it. You know it exists.
All right. It is called Punishment Awaits. The House of Fortune is the Monster Mansion.
Ooh.
Such a
I feel like the Japanese titles are longer.
They are way longer. I kind of love it. Much more descriptive. So, yes. Where do I even begin?
At the beginning.
That's a good idea. Let's start with the beginning. So, we get these little intros, since this is like just episode 2 of a brand new series where Usagi is... And I'm going to go ahead and apologize for the squeaking in the background. I have all the dogs in my room right now. So.
All the dogs. Yeah. Audrey, you can't take all the dogs. Some of them belong to people.
Well, 2 of them belong to me. And the other one is TBD.
Like the podcast.
Like the podcast.
If you keep the dog, you name it TBD. We call our podcast TBD, Sailor Moon Podcast.
And then the dog is our mascot.
Yeah, problem solved. You don't mind adopting a dog.
Just a third one. 3 is not too many for one person. Oh, are you drinking Soylent? Because I love Soylent.
I am. But yeah, they aren't paying to advertise, so bleep their name out.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I do think we could get them to, though.
I would do it.
Hell yeah, because I drink it all the time anyway, so I'm like, might as well just, All right, so let me get into it. Usagi and that, of course, is our main character, also known as Serena, or Bunny, in the dub. She's a cancer baby, which I definitely related to as a cancer baby myself, so... First time I think
I got very confused when you said cancer baby. I was confused. I was concerned. I was upset.
Okay, to be clear, neither I nor Usagi have cancer.
That would have made the show very different.
Yeah. It's a pretty guardian cancer survivor Sailor Moon.
Oh no.
Oh god, we're already canceled. She's as in born in July.
Did they tell you that in the episode?
Yes. Oh. So in the little intros, I don't know if these were cut out in the dub or not. But like they have like this little intro where she's taking you through who she is and what's been happening real quick. Like she doesn't recap the episode. She just kind of recaps like, I'm a pretty guardian sailor senshi, whatever. And she literally talks about how she's a Cancer and blood type O, which I don't know if you remember, but like they
it's
always
personality
list,
type, right?
Yeah,
blood type is like tells you about their personality in the not stereotype trope, whatever.
Yeah,
like having a type A personality. Blood type O personality.
Because I remember having all of their blood type information.
Yeah, and I remember as a kid I didn't understand why. It was just like a thing that you knew about them was what their blood.
Yeah, and I guess it has to do with, I don't know, we'll have to, again, we didn't research this.
Future episode, what blood type are you quiz?
Yes. Oh yeah, actually.
Not medically advised.
Yeah, I don't know what mine is.
You don't know your blood type?
No, I always forget.
Child.
I always get it mixed up. I know. I'm an adult woman.
I'm a biology teacher. I stab students in lab for their blood type.
Wait, really? Do y'all test your own blood type?
Currently we just do looking at it under microscope just because the blood typing lab requires so much, well, not so much blood, but enough blood that students are a little more reluctant to participate.
That makes sense.
But we do a fake blood typing lab sometimes.
That seems cool. I wouldn't. Actually, I think I would mind doing that.
You know what? I'm very afraid of needles and blood, and I still have to go around and like stab my students with needles if they don't want to do it themselves, and it's very alarming to me. But I've gotten much better at it.
You know,
and I fake confidence. I'm just like, yes, I will stab you with the needle. It'll be great, guys. Let's take that clip out of context.
Yeah.
So we know Sailor Moon's blood type.
Yes, Alison loses her job as a
No.
Okay, so I also had a note that I was obsessed with the Twilight, like pink purple vibes of the city that is just all throughout this series. I love it so much.
The colors and visuals are really strong. I had forgotten how good they were.
Yeah, and I think it's like kind of all coming back, which might be why Sailor Moon is kind of trending and stuff right now as well, like that whole kind of vaporwave thing. But anyway, let me get into the plot. So we start off with there's this huge line in front of a fortune teller's business, like a fancy business, and Jadeite is there. If you recall from the first episode, he's
bad
a
guy.
current like main henchman of Queen Beryl, who I guess also reports to somebody else. She keeps referring to this great ruler, and I literally can't remember.
She doesn't mention that ever in the dub, so I wonder if they just cut that out of the dub.
They must have, because I don't ever remember there being another person
either.
above Queen Beryl.
So I'm really excited to find out who it is. Maybe it's Satan or something, and that's why they cut it out.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Oh, I'm so excited now, because I thought maybe I just didn't remember who it was. But,
I mean, I've only watched 2 episodes, but she didn't mention it in those 2 episodes.
Yeah, and I think in the sub she's mentioned it at like every time, like, do you have enough energy for our great ruler? And so Jadeite, and Jadeite is in this like huge trench coat in the line with like sunglasses.
Like a flasher?
Kind of. But he's like so much taller than everybody else also, and he just looks so conspicuous, and he's just like, hey, this is my plan, and it's working. And so it turns out that then he goes back, reports to Queen Beryl, and she's like, oh, do you have any, they're trying to gather energy, and so he's got something going on with that fortune teller's house business, where, and I can't remember... Yeah, I don't think we quite know just yet at this point in the episode how it's working, but we know that somehow they're stealing energy, and that's why there's this huge line of people. So then we cut over to Usagi, and of course she is late for school.
Every day. That's just
every
her thing.
time.
I enjoy that as a character trait.
Yeah. I actually really started to relate harder to Sailor Moon now than I did as a kid.
As a kid, I was just like, that's not who I want to be. But as an adult, I just acknowledge that that's who I am.
That's who I am. We must have been trying to like hide from ourselves the truth of ourselves. But I did take a note that I was like, she really needs to start setting her alarm like earlier than she needs
Well,
to.
I think in the first episode, the mom says, I tried to wake you up and you just went back to sleep.
So that's what it is. She's just avoiding it. So I can't believe she sleeps with that alarm just going off. She goes to school, and I'm just going to call her friend Marvin, because I think that's a better name than the Japanese one.
It's such a good name.
I know. Marvin.
Marvin and Molly are what I'm going to call them for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Everyone else, I like their other names, but...
I think Naru's cute for Molly.
Naru is cute, but Molly is the British one, and she's my favorite version of Molly.
The British one?
No, not British. What is she?
Brooklyn. She's like New Yorker.
Brooklyn.
And then the best part is that her mom doesn't have the same accent. So, like, where did it come from?
It came from a gift from God.
Yes, it did. I think it was probably just a choice that voice actress made, like, just really strong, and they just left it. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway,
a lot of characters did this. They had that in Yu Hakusho, Yu-Gi-Oh. Joey had a Brooklyn accent for no reason.
It's not
and
even
I don't think his sister did. His sister did not.
That's so strange.
Yep.
So then Marvin has like a big crush on Usagi, and he tells Molly about it. Like, so I guess Usagi ends up being late to school. I probably don't need to explain this, but I just want to set because you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So she's obviously
cut it
late.
out. The listeners don't need to hear this part.
Yeah. So she's late, and she tries to sneak in to class by crawling on the floor.
I love
to
that.
get to her seat.
I love it.
And she's almost there. Like, she almost makes it, and then fucking Marvin is like, oh, Usagi! 'Cause
he's such a narc.
Crush.
He totally narked on her the first episode, too. He went and told, like, she failed her test. He knew she failed her test. And then he went and told her mom, hey, guess what? We had our test today. I got a great grade. He's such a narc.
What a narc. Marvin the narc. He's never going to let go of that title. So he gets her in trouble with the teacher. He's like, oh, Usagi. And she's like, ah. And so she sends her out into the hallway. And then he goes with her into the hallway, and she asks him, what are you doing here?
Can you just do that in class?
Yeah, he just follows her into the hallway. I guess because he feels bad or something. Or
the teacher's like, bye, Marvin.
Yeah, she just lets him, I guess.
She's just like, please get this boy out of my class. He's such a narc.
Honestly, he's such a good student, maybe she just doesn't care. Yeah, so they're waiting out in the hallway, and she asks, why are you out here with me? And I can't remember what his answer was, but I don't know. It's probably something like he got her in trouble, so he's going to be out there with her. And she goes, that's weird. It was really funny to me. And then later he goes and talks to Molly later about how he has just such a big crush on Usagi. And she goes, well, you should just ask her out. And I think he tries to, and she just laughs or something. I don't remember.
Cold, but approved.
I didn't really take many notes on that section.
That's fine. Keep going.
But it's important. Marvin is important for the plot and for, I think, why.
And will never be again.
Yes. Yeah, that's
I feel like Molly had the first episode, Marvin had the second episode, and then I feel like they, except for occasionally when we need, like, someone to get kidnapped, like, they're just never relevant again. I could be wrong, but that's my guess.
So I don't remember them really at all for the rest of the show, beyond some of these early seasons. Also, because especially when she starts meeting the other sailor Senshi, then
she gets real friends.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me feel bad for her and Molly's friendship. Okay, I've been talking for too long. Let me get through this thing. All right. So then so we know that Marvin's got a crush on her, and he has told Molly about it. I think he's trying to do something about it, whatever. So Usagi's walking home from school, and she walks past this fortune teller who's in a dark alley. It's like this old man with a beard, and he is lamenting. I can't remember what. She was like, ooh, a fortune teller. And then he starts lamenting about how the place across the street is where everybody's going, and he's not really getting any... Wait, maybe I understood this episode wrong. Maybe it was that the line was for him, and then Jedi opened up the new place so that they would all go there, because he's lamenting about how there aren't enough people, like, there's nobody coming to him anymore. Ah. And then I wrote down, I always get my best fortune tellings in dark alleyways.
I mean, I get... I just pictured, like, a cookie in a dark alleyway, which makes no sense, but you just pick up a cookie off the ground and eat it.
It's like literally a dark alleyway, and he has this table set up with palm readings.
It looks so shady.
Yes! He looks so shady. Yeah. And so, of course, Usagi, being the sweetheart, she, like, hands him her palm to read. She's like, can I read my palm, then?
I thought you said her purse. Don't do that.
She hands him her purse, and he rifles through and tells her fortune based on what she's got in there.
You could probably tell really good fortunes from people's purses.
Actually, you probably really could. So she gets her palm read, and he says something about... and I think we're meant to assume that he's, like, the real deal, because he goes, there's somebody who has a crush on you, and it's somebody you see every day. And she's like, oh, somebody I see every day. And then
Tuxedo Mask
thinks, no.
Oh.
She thinks it's, and I don't remember this character at all, probably because this is really the only episode you get most time with him, but it's this guy who runs the game center.
Is he blonde?
Yes.
He was in the third episode, but he came out of fucking nowhere. I was like, who is this?
This is when you find out.
Okay. So many things happened in the third episode that I was like, is there context for this?
Yes. Here it is.
Okay.
So apparently she has a massive crush on this guy who runs the game center. And so she goes in, and she's always supposed to go straight home, but she always goes into the game center, and she runs into him, and she has a massive crush on him. I think she gets, like, hard eyes or whatever. And I had a note that was like, who the F is this game center guy? Like, first I heard of him.
I didn't remember him at all.
Yeah, probably because I think probably these couple episodes are the only time he shows up, because then her crush moves on to Tuxedo Mask in, I think, the following episode. So he tells her that there is a new Sailor V game and that she's got to play it, and so she sits down to play it, and then I just have to comment on this move of his because he kind of he comes over and she's having trouble. Like, she keeps dying with Sailor V. And by the way, the game for Sailor V is her with a gun, like shooting at monsters and stuff.
She's a cop, right? She was like a secret agent cop. She worked with the cops.
Oh, so that's why she has a gun. Okay, so, but I also kind of want to play this game now. But she keeps dying and she's complaining, and so he comes over to help her, and he's like, moves her aside. He's like, let me show you how to do it. And at first, like, when he says, oh, look, like, there's a couple tips and tricks, and I was like, oh, he's just going to tell her how to do it. No, he, like, sits down and starts playing it and showing her. And I've had so many experiences back when I was dating men with that exact thing, and it drove me fucking nuts. Like, don't touch me. Don't touch the game. If you have something to say.
And also, like, nobody learns by you taking it away and doing it for them. It's actually, because, you know, when I teach, it's a thing where you're, like, your impulse is to just do it because it's quicker when you do it. But, like, you actually have to talk them through how to do it. Because they won't learn if they aren't actually the ones using the microscope or touching the game control.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to do the creepy, like, you know how they always do in romance where you put your arms, which would have been much more inappropriate.
That would have been worse. Especially because he's old enough to be, like, running this game center.
Well, it sounds like he's not flirting.
Yeah, I don't know that he is. I think he probably thinks she's a sweet girl.
Do you think he just wants a break from his job and he's like, let me help you by playing this game?
I think maybe he's just a fan of the game and is just excited to share it with somebody.
Well, that's
and
cute.
I think she's a regular, so...
Well, it is cute.
Yeah.
Cute,
I mean, he is cute.
and obnoxious.
He's sweet. Yeah, so, I mean, in the 90s, I guess that wouldn't have been offensive. Now, as an adult, I'm like, get the fuck out. Bless you.
Sorry.
Was that a cough or a sneeze?
I don't know.
Oh.
Mostly a cough.
All right, so she's in there, and then of course, and this is going to start a trend, which might be a segment, and it's about how Luna is the biggest cock block in the world. Yeah. Because I keep noticing it, because now that I've seen 2 in a row because of the aforementioned dub issue, I've noticed that, like, she really does, like when they need to break up a moment or whatever, they just use Luna, and I'm like, oh, poor Luna, the cock block. And then I also wrote, Luna must be team Tuxedo Mask.
I'm not sure she is. I can't remember
I don't
if she
think
cock
she
blocks
is.
that one too, I think. It also comes off different in my memory when she's like got the voice of an older lady versus when she's like also a young person. In the sub she has a young voice.
So
but
strange.
in the dub, my brother said she sounds like Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
You got the old lady voice.
I've got the old lady voice.
There, you're much better at it.
We'll have to do our Lunas at some point. So she thinks it's the game center guy that this fortune teller has told her about, because she does go to the game center like pretty much every day to play, even though she's not supposed to. And that's why Luna cockblocks, because she's like, you're supposed to go straight home. Like, you're not supposed to be stopping up here. So thanks a lot, Luna. And so she starts walking back home. And then, of course, she's walking by... Oh, so that must be why. So, like, the fortune teller must be on her way home, and then she, like, doubled back to go to the game center, and then now she's walking home again, because she passes by the same alleyway, and the guy is gone. Because she's like, oh, I need to get my fortune again to make sure it's this guy, and he's gone. He's not there. So she's like, oh. And then she looks over across the street, and there's that big fortune teller house. And...
the House of Punishment?
Yes. Well, I think she's going to turn it into the House of Punishment. And
oh, right, because Sailor Moon punishes people.
Yes.
We really could do a BDSM crossover here.
Yeah. I'm sure there is somewhere that...
Oh, definitely.
Probably not hard to find. What was I... Oh, shoot. I just ADHD.
She goes into the house, or she sees the house.
She does not go in. She sees it, and she is kind of debating with herself whether or not to go in. And I feel like she does some sort of like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, but like a Japanese version. I don't remember. She's like trying to decide whether or not to go in, and then she's like, nah, I'm just going to go home. So she goes home, and then she crumples something and throws it.
Does it hit Darian again?
I remember. Yes, it does. I remember what it was. This time it wasn't paper, it was her shoe. She goes heads or tails on her shoe. Heads I go in, tails I go. And so she throws it and hits him on the head.
I love it.
And I just want to know how he's always getting hit on the head by things. And then also, why is he always around to get hit on the head by things? That's so weird.
Yeah.
Is it creepy or cute? Creepy or cute? Does he have a klutz magnet? Is he always just waiting around her?
I do enjoy their failments, though. Except for it is creepy, but at the same time.
Yeah, like, I can't tell if he's meant to just always be around because he, like, lives in the same area.
I think it's supposed to be, like, one of those, you know, they keep having fated encounters or whatever.
Yeah.
They just
and
also
not, like,
keep...
intentional.
Yeah.
Because then, when he's Tuxedo Mask, because I guess he doesn't know she's Sailor Moon.
Yeah, he
we
doesn't
don't know
yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Even though the hair is exactly the same. Very, very much like Superman Clark
I
Kent.
mean, she doesn't even wear a mask.
I know. She just, her hair looks the same. She looks the same. Anyways. So he's there and blah, blah, blah. I think then she just goes home. Like, they have their arguing interaction and he's a dick to her and whatever. And then...
Classic rom-com.
Yeah. So let's see. Okay, so then we cut to Marvin going into the fortune teller's house because he's got a big crush and he wants to find out about it.
I really need you to call it the House of Punishment every time you refer to it.
So he goes into the House of Punishment.
Wait, I regret this choice.
Too late! So he goes in, and there's like a huge line. It's like all dudes, I guess. And this gorgeous woman.
In the House of Punishment.
In the House of Punishment. And of course, our dominatrix, who's really just a fortune teller, she's got tarot cards on the table. And I had this note that was like, damn, I want that tarot deck. Because she magically, like, the way that she flips the cards is she just magically has them flip themselves without her doing it. Anyway, so he gets the devil card, which, if you know tarot, usually signifies like the big change is coming, I think. Or no, maybe that's the tower.
That's the tower. I don't know what the devil
card. What's the devil card signify?
I don't think there is a devil card in tarot.
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a famous card. Hold on. I've got to look this up. Because,
all right, pause for look up.
Yeah, I don't... Card meaning. Because I don't think it means what it means in this episode. Oh, wait, it must. Okay, it represents being seduced by the material world and physical pleasures. Also, living in fear, domination, and bondage. Being caged by an overabundance of luxury. Discretion should be used in personal and business matters.
Don't go to the House of Punishment.
Yes.
It's not.
So, I guess that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, he keeps the card, like, she does some magic and it, like, disappears into his suit, his, like, shirt pocket and then, like, glows. You know,
yeah, they
how,
always
like,
have some item that's, like, draining them.
Exactly. We will see this as a theme throughout the rest of the show.
Theme is a generous way to refer to it.
What do you think it signifies, Allison, that it's glowing?
It signifies that it's important and magical and close to his heart.
Ooh, it's close to his heart. It's matters of the heart. He's being seduced. He wants to seduce others. Anyway, the next morning, we go into commercial break. Then the next morning, Marvin shows up to school in a full suit, like a 3-piece suit.
Oh.
And everybody's like, aren't you scared you're going to get in trouble? Like, you're supposed to wear your uniform. And he's like, I don't care. Like, suddenly Marvin is super cool and, like, really confident.
Does he still have the glasses?
Care. He still has the glasses. And then... Wait, what's this? Oh, my God. Hold on. I have this note that I need to say something about. What? She runs into her dad? This must be on the way home from school. So my notes are a little bit all over the place. I apologize. But before they go back to school, so the same day before when Marvin's like, while Marvin's getting enchanted or whatever, and she's on her way home. She runs into her dad, and I literally wrote, Sailor Moon has a dad? I don't remember him at all.
No, he showed up in the 3rd episode, and I did the same thing. I was like, she has a dad. And I'm like, I mean, I guess I knew she had a dad. He was very cute, though. I liked him.
Yeah, he was sweet. And so you actually get some interaction with him in this episode, and he's really cute, and he's just, so I think they end up, like, walking home together.
I think Disney has just trained me that you can't have 2 parents, so it was weird. She has 2 parents and a brother.
Somebody always
and they all get along.
Yeah. Yeah, they're, like, normal. And she has this thought, like, he does something sweet. I think he just says something about, like, oh, who's your friend? Like, talking about Luna. And so he, like, says something cute about the cat, and she, in her mind, Usagi's like, I'll bet, and then I guess this guy's name is Motoki, the Game Center guy, Motoki, and she goes, I bet Motoki's as considerate like my dad.
Wow. Wow.
And I'm just like, wow, okay.
I guess so. Come here, Cal.
I guess we all do look for our fathers in relationships.
My cat wants to be part of this podcast. Shh. I don't know if you guys can hear.
Does she have a grandmother voice?
Do you have a grandmother voice? Yeah.
All right, so now we're getting to the juicy stuff. Sorry it took me so long to get here, but here's where we're starting to get. I do think. Well, we'll save that for when we try to go through why we think this wasn't dubbed. So I'll save some of those thoughts.
So far, nothing worrisome.
I have a couple thoughts so far. But
I mean, I guess you could say tarot, but I don't think they're that worried about it because
I think they would have in the 90s.
They could have just cut like the good tarot person and been like, "See, tarot is evil."
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
So then, okay. So he's wearing a full suit and assaults the teacher. So like,
what?
Yeah. So they're all like in the locker room or something. I don't know. They're talking and they're all like, man, he seems like really different today. And then the teacher comes in and she's like, why aren't you wearing your uniform or something? And he's like, I don't care. And he walks by and flips her skirt up. And we like hold frame on her panties.
What?
Which have like,
and you said assaults the teacher. That's not where I thought you were going with
Where did you think I was going?
Like, I don't know, like attacks her or something. Oh.
Well, I wrote he assaults, because that's
I mean, he
what
does,
it is.
but like, jeez Louise. Like, I thought it was just more like, I've been brain controlled into attacking people. Not like,
no, he's being a dick.
People.
Yeah, like, he's so confident. He basically turns into, like, a rapist. Like,
so I have a better idea why they might have cut this episode.
Yes. Yeah, he becomes, like,
this is what we would consider imitable behavior. We don't want to teach children.
Yeah. Yeah, probably that moment alone would be enough to just not translate this episode. Because I was like, that definitely would never have made it into, like, that, at least at that time. And I don't know if, like, the new dub is keeping it, but I'm not sure. So he becomes a little creepy. Like, he becomes an incel, I guess, basically. Or, like a Chad, maybe. Where he's punk rock now. And, like, all the boys in school are acting like that now. And then, like, Jedi is sucking in their like, youthful, angry energy, you know?
Fellas, is it gay to have someone suck in your youthful, angry energy? Are you okay?
Yeah. I think it's a little gay. It's a little sus.
Okay.
Especially because Jedi's like, ooh, who knew it would be this good? And he's got, I don't know. He's given me some, like, a little bit of queer energy. I don't know. I think it's the earrings. Okay, so he's wearing full suit. Oh my god. Oh, the teacher, when he flips her skirt up, she cries, no one will ever marry me now.
Oh. I don't like that.
Yeah. Uncomfortable. And I'm like, wow, that's so old school. Like, because somebody has assaulted you.
It's also kind of weirdly fetishy. I don't know.
It is. That's what I was like, what's up with, like, the underwear thing? Like, it's kind of creeping me out. And it's, like, such an old school, like, oh, God, I'm unclean.
Hey, Audrey.
I'm no longer pure. What?
Cute or creepy?
Creepy.
Oh, darn.
Real creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so something strange about the boys. And then I wrote, what happens when she runs out of... So it seems like each boy has a different tarot card from the same deck. And so I wrote this note about, what happens when she runs out of cards? Does she just, like, start a new deck? Or is she only doing that one deck?
Also, like, you thought the devil was, like, that's what he's behaving like. So do they all just, like, some of the boys just get, like, nice tarot cards and they're really nice?
I don't think so. I don't think it actually correlates at all to which card they get.
She's just gonna run out of tarot cards then.
I guess so, or start like a new deck. But they're all being dicks. Like, they start throwing rocks at like the administration office and like break all the windows and stuff. And then and so I think that's happening like on their lunch break or something. And so then Usagi and Molly are out there. And they're like, Marvin, what are you doing? Like, what has gotten into? This is so out of character for you. And then he gets like really up close and personal with Usagi and is like, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was being very pushy about like kiss it. Like, he was like, you need to kiss me or like take me on a date or I can't remember what it was.
None of it is good.
None of it is good. He's being like very not appropriate with her. Like, I actually, even though it's a cartoon, I literally was like, ooh, like just the way that he was acting. Like, they did a really good job, honestly, with it, with like making it like really uncomfortable. And Usagi's like so taken aback, and then she just starts crying, and I was like, I feel you, girl. And then her crying powers come back.
Oh, good. Does he like fall down grasping his head?
Yeah, all the boys are like, oh no, what is this? And so they all run away.
It's my favorite power.
I know. And then Molly's like, are you okay? And then she just goes, yep. She's just perfectly fine after that. So I was like, was she faking that? Or
I think you just feel better after a good cry.
I think so, yeah. And it like removed her from the situation. But yeah. I think that is certainly one way to get out of that situation.
I think it's a good choice. It plays nicely into societal roles in a way that gets you what you need.
Yeah. Well, and she was also crying and saying, like, you're acting so weird, like, what happened to my friend, you know? Mm-hmm. And then, Luna somehow already knows that it's, like, the tarot cards or something.
I mean, I guess it's not subtle.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't even write, like, how they... I did not write down how they get to the... But, like, it seemed... I noticed this pattern also. Like, Luna seems to always be the one doing the detective work, at least early on. I don't know if that changes or not. I feel like... Yeah, I don't know. I'll cut all of this hemming and hawing out. But, like, Luna always seems to know what's up. And so she takes her to the house of bondage and domination, or whatever we're going to call it, the house of punishment. And she transforms, and then she always seems surprised when people actually attack her. And then all the boys show up, and they're turned into full zombie boys. They all go full green because the monster lady that Jedi has put in charge of this scenario is controlling them. And then we get a clutch rose moment. I keep calling them clutch rose moments because
they're good.
They are always right at the perfect time because Sailor Moon doesn't know what she's doing yet. Excuse me. And then I had a thought of who told Tuxedo Mask about his powers? How did he know? Does he transform?
Do we ever find out his backstory? Okay, well, we'll wait and see if that's revealed. I don't remember it. Like, I mean, I remember some of it, but I don't remember how he finds out. Yeah, he doesn't have a buddy telling him.
Maybe he just knows. Because I guess Sailor V probably knows, right? Like,
I don't think she knows either. Oh, she's got Artemis talking to her. She's got a cat, too.
Yeah.
I don't think
but he doesn't have one.
Sailor.
Unless there's a secret cat. We don't.
Oh my gosh, secret cat.
Maybe he's got a dog.
Ooh, that would be more Earth, right? Cats are from the moon and dogs are from Earth.
Is that so?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so and this is my favorite part. So he freezes the zombies with like I don't know how how it worked, but he does like a clutch rose to like hit something, and it freezes all the zombies like while they're just like this, and so they're just
Rose with freezing powers. Okay.
I guess I think he like hits a tarot card or like hits a monster or something, and it like freezes them, and so Usagi's like hello, and then she's like oh tuxedo mask, and then he just leaves.
Okay then.
The fight isn't over yet.
He's so
like he just throws one rose. Who knows why he was there in the first place? Like, why didn't he fix? If he already knew, why wasn't he fixing it?
I think he just stalks Sailor Moon. Like, I don't know how he knows where Sailor Moon is, but he does seem to just stalk Sailor Moon around.
Yeah, like
he doesn't know where the bad guys are. He knows where Sailor Moon is.
Yeah, is that the question? Does he know where the bad stuff is and shows up for that, and then she's there too, or is he stalking Sailor Moon?
That's very strange.
But I think if it's the former, like if he's also doing his own detective work, then wouldn't he have stayed to finish the fight? Like, why leave?
You know, and they set him up as such a weird mentor figure for her, and in retrospect, again with that age difference, creepy. It's just kind of weird.
Cute or creepy, Allison?
Leaning towards creepy. I'm gonna say leaning towards creepy.
But then there's also something about like. There's something about him giving me woke feminist by the fact that, like, he leaves knowing that
he lets her handle things. He's just like, you can do it. Hey, unlike the game guy who's like, here, let me show you how it's done. He's
That's
like,
true.
Let me help you out. Now you can do it.
That's a really good point, actually. I kind of like that. To set up Tuxedo Mask as a better fit.
Yeah, I would love if they did that intentionally.
They might have. Maybe they did that in the manga. I could see Naoko Takuchi doing that in the manga for sure. To like just set up like why this other guy kind of.
Yeah.
It's very subtle. I don't know. Let's ask her.
Dear Naoki.
Dear Miss. Okay, so then he just leaves, which I thought was hilarious. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, I kind of like that he lets her take care of herself. And then Frisbee type Tiara, of course, saves the day. And then she's feeling pretty solid about herself and what she's accomplished this day. And then we have this perfect freeze frame on her tripping on her way home.
Nice.
And that is that episode.
And because there's no dub, we don't get a Sailor Says.
Yeah. Oh.
So you need to come up with one. What's the moral of the episode?
Sailor says, don't assault your teachers.
Sometimes we have urges, but it's good that we don't act on our urges and keep our crushes to ourselves.
Exactly. It's okay to have a crush, but don't force yourself on anybody.
Yeah, but friends are good too. I really think that's how they do it. They'd be like, it's okay to have a crush, but it's more important to have friends.
Yeah. So sometimes just be friends.
Yeah, be a good friend first.
Maybe that's what he did. I think he maybe just like walked up and asked her out. And
does he ever come up and say sorry?
Yeah, he apologizes.
Oh, okay.
I think the next day at school.
Good. I mean,
I'm pretty sure he did.
To be fair, depending on whether he remembers it, it's sort of not his fault. But at the same time,
he does remember it. Yeah, and I think he's kind of like, I don't know what came over me, but she's just excited that her friend is back, you know. But she knows why he was doing that. She knows that it wasn't him. So that's that episode.
Weirdly, there was like less in it that I feel like they couldn't have just cut. Although maybe the behavior was just a little too obnoxious to show. But
yeah, I feel like there's a couple things like the juvenile delinquency, because I feel like I remember complaining growing up about when we would find out like through the grapevine what they had cut out. I remember there was even an episode where they cut out her throwing paper at Marvin's head or something. Like they're decorating for. I specifically have this memory of them cutting it out or adding in. You never actually see the moment of impact of.
Oh yeah, they would always
fights.
Imply like a punch because they have to cut away from the actual punch and things.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, they cut away from the actual ones, or like they put a flash in there, which is so just demeaning to kids. I feel.
Yeah, I mean.
So they were being super conservative with it, and I have a feeling that when they were releasing this, you know, the Midwest always, you want it to work, like in the Midwest and stuff, so that it's a success. So I can imagine, like, Tarot's going to be a no-go. I think Tarot is way more acceptable now than it probably was back then in the 90s. Like, it feels a lot more widespread now. I could see that being an issue, the delinquency being an issue, obviously the assault and the creepiness. But then I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I mean, TV was just different back then.
I think they were just being like.
But yeah, it does seem cautious. Like they still could have translated. I mean, I didn't watch it, but if it had been like consistent bad behavior all through, like in terms of like the sexual stuff, like I get, you probably want to cut that or not show it because it's something that kids could start mimicking, and if you're already cutting like violence, I think I would prefer that you be even more conservative about sexual assault.
I think there's just too much.
Yeah, that it was just hard to work around, and they were like, let's just not even try. But that's interesting. Now, is now a good time, because I did look up a little bit about the company that did the dub. Would this be a good time to talk about this? So, the original dub is by a company called DiC, D-I-C, and they made a ton of children's media in the day, and how are we all sleeping on the fact that this company was called DiC? If you look up their logo, like, you literally find this thing that says The Wonderful World of DiC. And it's amazing. We all missed this. I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? I remember growing up being like, DiC?
I missed it. And it actually is really hard to find out what it stands for because it's like so old that it was like, they don't use it anymore. But here's what I know about them. They got their French company, but they only worked in France for a little while. They did a tiny bit of work in Japan, and then they came to America and have done all their work in America. Their first successful show was Inspector Gadget, which I actually remember. Wow. They did a ton of those shows you think of as associated with toy lines or trying to launch a toy line, like Care Bears and Popples and Rainbow Bright, Strawberry Shortcake, Hulk Hogan, like Heathcliff, Adventures of Teddy Ruxpin, like all these ones, and then a lot of them were also failed toy lines. So actually, I want to name, I think, like about 4 shows. You tell me which one is not a real show.
Okay.
All right. It might take me a minute because I didn't get my list ready, but here's the 4 or 5 shows. Pole Position.
Pole Position?
Pole Position. Kissy Fur. Lady Lovely Locks and the Pixie Tales.
That's real.
Dino Saucers.
I'll bet that's real.
Little Clowns of Happy Town.
Oh, I'll bet that's real. Wait, is there just one out of those that's not real? Okay. What was the first one?
Pole Position.
Pole Position. That's too weird to not be real. And then what was the second one?
Kissy Fur.
Kissy Fur.
Kissy Fur. Kissy Fur.
Like Lucifer, but with the word kissy in front of it, or fur like on a dog?
Fur like a dog.
I'll bet that one's fake.
I lied. They're all real. Sorry. Yeah, Kissy Fur, which is the worst show name I've ever heard of, is an American animated children's television series called Kissy Fur Bear Roots, which somehow makes it sound worse. Bear like a bear.
What?
Yeah. They're all weird. Pole Position's based off of a video game. Sounds like a sex move.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just all weird.
At first I thought you said pole, like pole position, and I was like, is this about strippers?
No, it's like P-O-L-E, yeah.
Oh, it is pole.
Yeah. I think it might be like supposed to be like the North Pole, but it's really unclear. Yeah, so they just did everything. The Lady Lovely Locks and the Pixie Tales was like them trying to start a toy line. There's so many on here that are like, we tried to start a toy line.
Hold up.
They did Captain Planet and the Planeteers.
Really?
And they did the Sonic ones, which both had those little, at the end of the thing, like, Captain Planet says and Sonic says, so we see where they got the idea.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So they were just doing all this crazy children's media, and it was all about marketing. Merchandising.
Yes, that makes sense. And I could see why Sailor Moon would be merchandise, but then they didn't really.
Yeah, I feel like there wasn't a lot of maybe there was like rules that made it hard to merchandise, but they should have had the rights to do that here.
They should have had the rights. I'm sure that was their intention.
Yeah, because it seems like it would be so merchandisable to sell like little Sailor Moon toys or something.
Right. I would have killed for those. So, question: does DiC, did they, when you say they made Captain Planet and all those, were they just dubbing Japanese cartoons, or were they actually?
No, most of these were stuff they actually made, as far as I can tell.
Okay, so then maybe they didn't have.
One of the most recent ones, which I actually have watched an episode of, and it was really bad, was called Horseland. That aired in 2008.
Wait, that was the last time they made something?
The last one was Sushi Pack, which aired in 2009.
Okay, that makes sense.
At least on this list. I don't know how trustworthy Wikipedia is.
That explains why, because I remember seeing their building in Burbank, I think. When
I
lived out there. I saw the DiC. I saw the D. The only D will allow. Yeah, I remember seeing that building, but now it's like something else. So that makes sense. Like, probably went out of business.
DiC translated the first 85 episodes of Sailor Moon, so we're going to be with them for a long time.
Oh, wow.
And then the next group was Cloverway. I don't know how many episodes they did or which ones they did.
Cloverway sounds familiar.
Cloverway, I think, has the voice that's like really weird.
Bad.
I'm looking this up real fast.
I don't know when they switched the voices. Okay, I gotta pull up my outline.
Real fast, I want to check this. Cloverway did Sailor Moon. Tell me when you started and how many episodes you did. They're not telling me. I just want this information for the people.
The people must know. Do 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 do. Ripley keeps like crying and begging for something.
Okay, in 2001, Cloverway bought the rights to the first anime and dubbed Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon S and Sailor Moon Super S. Their dub of the 2 seasons was rushed thanks to Cartoon Network wanting Cloverway to get the dub done. So I don't know which seasons those were, but I guess they just did 2 seasons that I'm assuming they did because DiC hadn't done them, but I don't know.
Yeah. Huh.
I'll have to figure this out later.
Yeah. Okay, so next up on the list is, I mean, unless we want to continue chatting about why we think this wasn't dubbed.
Do we have anything else to say? I think it was pretty obvious why it wasn't dubbed.
It's pretty clear why not.
But, and we said they seem perfectly willing to chop things out. They may have just decided this was too hard to chop down in a way that was still understandable.
Yeah, I think by the time you get done with all the cuts, there's just nothing left.
Yeah.
Plus, I really do think there's something to, like, the whole concept of having a fortune teller and having your main character go to a fortune teller.
There were some weird rules about some of that stuff because they wanted to not, alienate the Christian mom market.
Exactly. Yeah, because could you imagine the uproar in the 90s and early 2000s of, like, moms being like, you're watching what now on Cartoon Network?
Tarot cards to my children?
Making it seem good and having her go to a palm reader. Like, I could just foresee that being a massive issue. Even today, I think that could be an issue.
Yeah.
But not as big, or I don't know. Who knows? The internet is full of angry people, so... all right, so we can move on to Moon Memories. Do you want to go first?
Okay.
Do you have one?
You go first because I need a minute to think of a memory.
Okay.
Accessing.
So the one I'm going to talk about, there's not really a whole lot to it, so you don't have a whole lot of time to remember
That's
yours.
Right. I'll think fast.
To think of one. Or you could just do like a general anime memory. But
yeah.
The one I was going to do was, I just remember when we were in, what grade would that have been? Maybe 8th grade or 9th grade, when we were in the same history class. Because I specifically remember I had made, excuse me. Okay, stop. Everybody's fine. She's just, do you see her?
She's very excited.
Yeah,
Hi,
well, I don't know
baby.
what she wants.
My doggy's down here with his head on my knee, so.
Oh, cute. I wish she would do that. She does not. Her love language is not physical touch.
Aw.
Yeah, with everybody else, though, yes. Okay, so I remember I covered all, because remember we had to cover all of our textbooks back in the day.
Oh, I forgot about that because you had to like return them, so you'd have to wrap them up in like a book cover. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, they should really just do that in college since you're all just reusing the same stuff anyway. But
I'm
then
having
they want to make money.
crazy flashbacks.
Yeah. So I had made, I don't know if you had two or like if we all did it, but I had specifically made these book covers because like I did the clear plastic thing and I printed out pictures of all of the senshi and I color coded them and assigned them to like each different subject. And so I covered all of my textbooks in the characters. And so like I think Sailor Saturn was science because I think her dad was like a scientist or something. And then I can't remember what I had for history, probably Ray.
I love this.
So I had everything. It was like really cute. Now that I'm thinking back on it, they were really cute. And I had little, like I had them on the side as well. Like I got really detailed with it. I had
That's adorable.
them like in their little sailor outfit on the side, and then them in like an in some sort of not fan art, but like I think I used like a lot of manga art or something on the front cover. But then I ended up getting embarrassed about it because I think people probably made fun of me or something. And so I ended up, whenever I would take it out, I remember I would put it face down so that you couldn't see the sailor person on the front.
My heart.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, in that age, junior high, high school, like, all it took was one, maybe, it doesn't even have to be a real look. One thought that maybe someone had looked at something weird for your whole brain to just be like, oh my god, I'm being perceived, it's terrible.
You stop perceiving me.
Horrifying.
Yeah, and then I just have, side note, I could probably cut this out, but do you remember this guy in our history class? Because I remember you stood up for me because I don't know what he said, but it was this guy, bleepity bleep.
It was, okay, there's a scene, and I think it's not in the first book, but the second book, but there's a scene where they watch mammoths having sex, and then they mimic the mammoths having sex. So it was people sex. It was weird roleplay people sex. And she was like, okay. But you're right, we didn't gravitate to the rape issues or anything like that. But she was just like, if anything makes you uncomfortable or you want to talk about anything.
Wow, that's great parenting.
She's a good mom.
You want to know the extent of my sex education from my parents?
I think it was no.
Yes, correct. And actually, the best part was they just didn't tell me anything. So I obviously used my own means to figure it out. Oh my god, when I saw that diagram, I have like a visceral memory of that diagram that was in the encyclopedia, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was not pleased. And I was like, that's what happens? But then, and so that's when I was like a kid. And then I'm literally driving to college with my mom, and she goes, so we need to have this conversation.
What? That's when she thought was the time to have that conversation?
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh. Darling, that moment has long gone.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole like sit down and have a conversation is one of those ones that if you don't do it super early, like in this day and age, you're gonna get there late to the show.
Because they are going to find out. Through their friends
and I think it should be kind of an ongoing conversation more than one particular one.
Yeah, like if you have any questions, like let's
My
talk
poor
about
mom
them.
fielded, because like I would like bring her questions from other people or bring her other people to ask her questions. Like she had to field so much stuff. I'd show up at the room and be like, we have a question about gay people and anal sex. And she'd just be like,
really?
Yeah. She'd be like, okay.
I didn't even know you could have anal sex as a kid.
Again, beyond the scope of the podcast. I was going to tell a story and then I'm like,
I think I learned it when we had to read that book, Kaffir Boy, which is also a slur. But when we had to read that in history class, that's when I learned what anal sex was. Kaffir Boy, about the South African
I didn't have to read that one.
Oh, maybe you were in a different class than me.
We were in different English classes.
But there's like a really disturbing scene, which I won't get into. But I don't remember if we talked about this last time. Probably not. But, I mean, I had a question for your mom. I don't think I asked your mom, but I remember that you and I, like, had a pact at one point, because we were like, how does birth control work? And, like, how do you just not get pregnant? Because we didn't understand, because we were, like, 12 or something. And so we were like, okay, you go ask your mom, I'll go ask my mom, and then we'll compare notes. So I went to ask my mom, and she goes, we'll talk about it when you're married, like when you're getting married. And that was it. And then you came back with, okay, we've got spermicide, we've got birth control pills, we've got condoms, we've got...
Yeah. That sounds about right. I don't remember that specifically, but I
do.
just remember the number of times that I'd be like, Mom, one of my friends wants to...
Yeah.
Or one of my friends is having this weird situation with a boyfriend, and I don't know what to tell her. And her mom won't answer her questions.
Yeah. So moms, answer the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Just
or someone else will.
Or someone else will, and you don't, and that means that you no longer have control of the conversation.
And you don't know if it's good information.
Right. Yeah. So, and the thing is, like, just now I'm 35 now, and only now are my parents and I, like, actually trying to work on talking about some things, especially, like, with my sexuality and, like, coming out and everything. And it's like these conversations should have happened 2 decades ago.
Whoops.
Like, they should have happened so long ago. And so this is what happens when you put off, like, when you know what, I'm not going to go down that road.
Let's
I'll save
not.
that for therapy.
Sailor Moon Therapy.
Sailor Moon Therapy.
Sailor Moon Therapy
That's
Hour.
what the title is. Sailor Moon Therapy Hour.
I love it. So, maybe we should wrap this episode up and
Yes.
consider starting another one.
Yes.
Okay, we had a Sailor Says for the episode. What's our Sailor Says for our episode? Sailor Says, talk to your children about sex. Okay, I don't like that.
No, I love that. Yes, we absolutely need to do our own Sailor Says. I love this. I think that's it. I think that's the one.
Okay.
Talk to your children about sex. Or someone else will, like us.
Don't let podcasters handle the sex eds for your kids.
Don't let them learn about it from the internet and fan fiction. Because who's writing fan fiction? Children.
Other children. Well, and adults, but again, strange adults who are not responsible for educating your children, even though they will try, and some of them are well-intentioned, and it's better than nothing. But,
yeah.
Look, that should be a part of it, not the whole thing.
It should be like a broader atmosphere of sex education, but
and
you are their helpful
education.
guide.
And
yes, consent
relevant
education
to our episode, consent education. Don't flip up your teacher's skirt. Don't pressure your friend into a relationship.
Also, Sailor Says, just because somebody flips up your skirt, it doesn't mean that you'll never be able to marry anyone.
This is very true.
It
Sailor
doesn't
says,
have anything to do
you
with
are
your
not
purity.
ruined for marriage.
Thank you. In fact, that's just not possible.
Sailor says you don't have to get married.
You don't even have to get married, yeah.
Oh.
And if somebody is telling you that you're not pure enough for them to marry, run.
All right. Bye, guys.
Wait, do we have something else on our outro? Is that it?
I think that was it.
Next week's episode is
about
a radio show.
Yeah, next week's episode is about a radio show.
Yes, and it's about love.
I have watched the dub, and you are going to watch the sub.
Yes.
See you next week or later today.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.